You're listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. The show that gives pastors and church leaders the clarity they need to protect their people, property, and ministry.
Welcome back to Faith Stewardship and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. I'm your host, Ron Wadley. With Insurance for Texans, we help church leaders protect their people and property with wisdom and clarity. If you've ever opened a church insurance renewal and felt your stomach drop, you're not alone. That moment of sticker shock has become almost routine for churches across Texas, and it's catching even the most prepared leaders off guard. That's exactly what happened to Leslie and Tyler. Leslie has served her church in a lot of ways over the years, and now she leads the finance committee. She's a CPA by trade, someone who understands budgets, projections, and long-term planning. Numbers don't usually rattle her, but when the renewal invoice for the church's insurance landed in her inbox, it did exactly that. The premium was up 50%. She shared it with the rest of the committee, and the room went quiet. This wasn't a large church with financial padding. This was a congregation that already ran lean, careful to steward every dollar well. The immediate questions came fast. Why did this happen all at once? Is this just us, or is this happening everywhere? And most importantly, is there anything we can actually do about it? Those are fair questions, and they're the same ones we hear every day. The reality is that the cost of church insurance in Texas isn't rising because of one isolated issue. It's the result of several pressures colliding at the same time. Rebuilding costs have climbed sharply as materials and labor have become more expensive. Hail claims continue to hammer the state, especially for churches with large roof footprints. And liability risks, from counseling services to volunteer activity to employment-related claims, are carrying higher price tags than they did even a few years ago. Any one of those would strain the system. Together, they've forced insurance companies to take dramatic action. Some have raised rates aggressively, others have tightened coverage. Many have left Texas altogether. For churches like Leslie's, this shows up as a renewal that feels disconnected from reality. Hail remains one of the biggest drivers. Texas churches tend to have wide, complex roof lines that absorb the full force of these storms. When hail hits, the claims are large, the deductibles are higher than they used to be, and the frequency of loss has pushed carriers to limit how much risk they're willing to take. Fewer companies offering property coverage means less competition, and less competition almost always means higher premiums. At the same time, replacement costs have surged. Rebuilding a church today costs far more than it did even 5 years ago. Older buildings, unique materials, and architectural features only add to that pressure. Insurance companies adjust limits to keep pace. And when limits rise, premiums follow. Liability plays its part too. Churches are active places. People gather, children are involved, counseling happens, volunteers serve. When something goes wrong, the legal and medical costs attached to those claims are significantly higher than they once were. Insurance pricing reflects that risk, whether a claim ever happens or not. What Leslie began to understand is that this wasn't about her church being singled out. It was about a system under strain. That doesn't make the increase easy to swallow, but it does change how you respond. The goal at renewal time isn't simply to find the cheapest number available. It's to make sure your church is properly protected in a way that aligns with how you actually operate. That requires experience, context, and a willingness to look beyond one-size-fits-all packages. That's where true Texas church insurance comes in. It's built around understanding Texas-specific risks, asking the right questions, and shaping coverage around the realities of your church's operations. It doesn't promise to erase premium increases, but it does focus on making sure the coverage you're paying for actually serves you when it matters. Leslie didn't walk away thrilled about higher costs, but she did walk away informed, equipped, and confident that her church had a path forward that made sense. If your church is facing renewal shock, rate increases, or uncertainty about what's driving the numbers, reach out to our church insurance team at insurancefortexans.com. And if you want a more comprehensive look at church insurance, get a copy of our book, The Promise of Certainty, at thepromiseofcertainty.com. I'm Ron Wadley, and this has been Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, protecting Texas churches. Until next time, remember that church insurance sticker shock is real, but it doesn't have to derail your church's mission.
Thanks for listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance. Until next time, remember, insurance isn't just about policies. It's about safeguarding the mission God has called you to lead.